Hey everyone, Pastor Richard here with Cornerstone Church. We had another great worship gathering yesterday. It's amazing to watch the ways that God is moving in our midst. He's answering prayers in powerful ways. We're seeing healing happen and lives transformed, relationships restored, and we're just blessed by what God's doing at Cornerstone. I'm excited about what He has in store for us in the future. And I wanted to say, if you're watching this online and you don't have a faith fellowship you're plugged into, you're in the Lake Jackson, Brazoria area, and you don't have a church family where you're growing and serving together, we would love for you to come and join us here at Cornerstone. We're passionate about connecting people with Christ, growing in our relationship with God, and flourishing as fully devoted followers of Jesus. But I also wanted to hop on and share a word with you today. I wonder, has anyone ever given you a nickname? Somewhere in your life, someone's called you by a nickname. I've heard several through the years, not always toward me, but with others. I've heard names like Doc, Bubba, Toots. You can tell we're in Texas, right? But I was thinking about that recently, these nicknames that were given through our life. In fact, I was thinking about the reality that no grandchildren ever call their grandparents by their actual name. They all have a nickname: Papa, Granny, Grandma, Meemaw, Peepoo. In fact, there was a gentleman in one of our churches who was able to convince his grandchildren to call him the Dude. Somehow he got them to call him the Dude, and from then on, his whole family knew him as the Dude. I don't know how he pulled that off, but I think that's amazing. You know, nicknames often indicate a special relationship with someone. Jesus was known for giving out some nicknames. I think about that moment when Simon made that great confession of faith there at Caesarea Philippi, when Jesus said, "Who do people say that I am?" And they were saying, well, some say you're a prophet, some say you're a great teacher, some say you're John the Baptist come back, or Elijah. But he said, "What about you? Who do you say that I am?" And in that moment, Simon declared, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God, the Messiah, the one we've been waiting for." Jesus turns to him and he says, "Simon, son of John, blessed are you because this wasn't revealed to you by human beings, but by my Father in heaven. And from now on, I will call you Peter, Cephas, the rock. And on this rock, I will build my church." Peter, long before Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he was the original rock. He was given a nickname, and it indicated a special role and a special relationship with Jesus as he walked with him and followed him. And I wonder, have you received a nickname? We've been talking about that, and I think about how significant and important names are. We saw that in our scripture on Sunday in the story of Jacob and how he lived into this name, this identity as a heel grabber, as a manipulator, as someone who was so selfish. He was grasping after something that didn't belong to him, trying to make a name for himself, trying to put himself in first place, and he left messes everywhere. His whole life was characterized by wrestling. And it wasn't until he brought that struggle into his relationship with God and that epic wrestling match with God that God is able to rename him and say, "You're no longer known as Jacob, but now you're known as Israel," one who wrestles with God, who struggles with God and man and has overcome. And when we bring our struggles and our wrestling into our relationship with God, He will give us a new name, and He will enable us to overcome. It's a powerful word. In fact, I was reading in Kings recently, and I was just struck by the way that Elijah the prophet was referred to by all the people. No matter where he went, his friends and his enemies called him the man of God. Go get the man of God. And I thought, man, that's powerful that this name stuck to him, that his relationship with God was so close, that everything he did reflected God in such a way that everyone around him called him the man of God. I want that kind of relationship. I want to reflect that kind of a role, that others see me, and in me they see him. And they call me a man of God. I want to be a man of God. We have a young man who's in basic training right now, and often you get nicknames in the military. And because of his relationship with God, and because he's witnessing to those in basic training with him, they've started calling him the preacher or preach. And I just think that's an amazing nickname to get attached to. I wonder what names you've picked up along the way. I wonder what names you've held on to, maybe some names that you need to let go of, maybe some names that you've been, and identities you've been living into. I want to tell you today that if you're a follower of Jesus, if you believe in him and belong to him, then Scripture gives some names for you. You are chosen. You are highly favored. You are blessed. You're not forsaken. You are a child of God, a son or daughter of the Most High. And I believe that's who you are. And my challenge and call for you is to walk in that identity this week. You know, but even with those names that we all carry, I believe that God knows you intimately, and he has a special name for you. And if you'll stop long enough and listen close enough, you'll hear him whisper your true name, your true identity. My prayer is that we would hear from him who we really are, and that we would walk in the truth of that name this week. Get ready, Cornerstone. God's on the move. God bless.